Welcome to the Get Sculpted podcast. We're your hosts, Tiana,
Jordana,
and Marilyn.
This podcast is all about cutting through the noise and giving you the real deal on fat loss, muscle building, and what it really takes to build your 2.0 sculpted self, inside and out. Our motto is to work smarter, not harder. We'll break down science-based and actionable strategies to optimize your metabolism, ditch the diets, and create a sustainable, fit, and healthy lifestyle that actually works for you. So if you're ready to get stronger, not just skinnier, and embrace a body you love, hit that subscribe button and let's get sculpted.
Welcome back to another episode of the Get Sculpted podcast. I'm Coach Jordana and I'm here with Tiana and Marilyn, and we are back for another episode. And I just got to be straight up with you guys. We got to cut the crap here, okay? We are going to dive into why you don't have a time problem. You actually have a time management problem today. And as somebody who comes from the corporate world and is particularly passionate about time management, we really wanted to dive into this episode. It is still September. We are in the craziness of back to school still, settling into new routines. This is the perfect time to step back. As you're going through this episode, think about things that you can audit in your life because your schedule might be feeling a little bit chaotic right now. And as a result of that chaotic schedule feeling, you might be seeing your results take a little bit of a backseat from a fitness perspective. You might even be thinking, I can't even really prioritize myself right now. There's just too much going on. Things are too crazy. So what we want to do today is take some of our favorite bare ass minimums, the things that we believe are the most important that we talk to our clients about. And we're going to talk to you about what we mean as bare ass minimums, our BAMs. And if you lock in these 5 things, you will get lean, you will feel more sculpted, you will be stronger, and you're going to be able to do it with all the other things that are already happening in your life. The number one thing we tell our clients is this is not about being perfect. This is about having a repeatable set of actions that are just baked into your mind as the areas you just do not go beyond. And you always have them as your bare minimums. So ladies, are you ready to break these things down?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing I want to dive into is that a lot of women, I know we've all talked to these women, everybody's like, even us, we're like, I just need more time. Like 24 hours in the day, it just doesn't seem like enough. But what we all really need is to use some of our time a little bit better. The data these days is really, really bad. How much time people are spending watching Netflix, scrolling their phone, watching YouTube videos. It's literally adding up to hours in somebody's day that could be repurposed to taking better care of ourselves. And I don't want that to come across as a huge judgment, but we've all had those moments where we need to step back and be like, whoa, what rabbit hole did I just climb down? And how am I going to get myself back out? So your week should feel like it has a natural rhythm to it. And I know this might sound a little idealistic to some of you. I know some of my clients have like 4 kids and half of them are in competitive sports and this one's traveling here and that one's going there and it doesn't feel like rhythm is possible. But there is even still a rhythm when you have a lot going on. Because if you do have these bare ass minimums, which we'll talk about, these are the core things that you are signing up to say, no matter what, I'm going to do these core things. It doesn't have to be everything, but it should be something. And that's how you're going to ultimately build consistency. And without a proper routine, you're going to hit decision fatigue way more quickly, which leads you to the drive-through, to skipping workouts, to having poor sleep, to making choices that aren't aligned with your long-term goals. So what does a bare ass minimum actually mean? Because we're going to dive into 5 of them. A bare ass minimum, or your BAM, this is something we've adopted with all of our clients. It's their bare minimums. It's the things that they will not skip in their day or in their week that is a guiding principle that they're going to come back to time and time again. Because freedom doesn't ultimately come from flexibility. It comes from having a default mode that works for you and not against you. And it's ultimately going to help you get where you want to go long term. So T, I'd love to hear from you about having a plan. What does that mean to you?
All right. Our number one bam coming in hot is having a game plan when it comes to nutrition, a nutrition plan and tracking said plan and having targets to meet. Because here's the thing. We just talked about this in a previous episode. It is not enough to just be painting with broad strokes if you want to see real results. Now, having a plan might sound like more work, but it's actually going to free up a lot more time and brain power. I can't tell you how many women I speak with, and we all determine that what they really want is to free up mental real estate. I have so much of my thinking around how I look, what I'm eating, and I'm second guessing. Okay, but if you have a plan, that goes away. And the decision fatigue you talked about, Jord, that gets eliminated because it's like, oh, I have a thing to follow. All I have to do is prep it, which Mara's going to talk about, and eat it. So here's the thing. Just clean eating or just making good choices is not enough to achieve a specific result. It's also not repeatable, and it's going to make you less likely to be consistent than having a set goal. So when we say that you have a plan, we mean if you have a physique goal, you want to get lean, if you want to build muscle, if you just want to feel great, you got to have a specific target when it comes to your nutrients, your calorie range, macronutrient targets. And, maybe this is in the form of like a nutrition plan to begin with, but you have some structure. You have an eating pattern. And that's what we want all our clients to fall into. So, just to give you guys background info, when someone starts with us, we give them a nutrition plan because it's like, hey, you might not have any eating pattern right now. Follow this plan. This foods you like, you're going to eat like this. Okay, now we're going to work those into, this is the bigger picture. This is your macronutrients, but you're still developing, okay, I'm going to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snack, and I'm going to eat them repeatedly in a way that's going to allow me to stay on track. When life gets busy, it's just what I do. You don't have to think about it. So the thing is, you don't have to have this set in stone where you're eating the same foods all the time and you're either on this plan or off the plan. You can be very flexible in terms of the protein sources you're having, the types of vegetables you're eating, the carbohydrates. You could switch your foods up for sure. But in the bigger picture, you're falling into an eating pattern with flexibility. And flexibility doesn't mean that you're just putting random foods into your plan. Like, I have a macronutrient target and I'm going to have a Pop-Tart for breakfast. And then maybe 2 hours later, I might eat this. No, you have a consistent and repeatable eating pattern. So this way, you're not relying on just your intuition or when you feel hungry or whenever you have a pocket of time. You're making that pocket of time. You have the food armed and ready to go. You know what you're eating and you know when you're eating it. Would you girls add anything?
I would, because when I was in corporate and I started to focus more on my eating patterns, at first I felt like it was impossible. Like, oh my gosh, I'm in meetings all day long. How am I going to be eating? I'm on the subway, I'm driving, I'm doing all these things. How am I going to stick to a plan? And here's the thing. I just decided I was going to do it. I was like, let me just see if I can. And I think that was the perfect reframe for me at the time, because it wasn't that I had this limiting belief that I wasn't allowed to eat in the meeting. I had a limiting belief that it was rude to eat on the subway, but it's not. And people do it all the time. And it's just how you do it. So for me, it was about, I packed my food up and I knew what was easier for me to eat where and when. And as long as I finished all that food in that bag every single day by the time I got home, I knew that I was going to feel really good. So I had a little snack as I was walking into the subway. I would have my midday snack. I broke up certain things because it was easier for me that I knew I had certain time that I was at my desk. I would eat something then. But then my lunch, I would get booked into like lunch meetings and doubling and all of these crazy things that I just brought it with me and said, hey guys, just a heads up, I'm going to be over here quietly eating. Don't mind me. And nobody minded. And in fact, it gave other people permission to not skip meals too. And it became like a updated culture where it was okay to eat and still meet and get work done. And that's really what I want to drop in and add here, is that you can determine your own eating patterns. You have that power, and don't let the environment that you're in dictate what you really need to do to fuel your body, because you'll show up better, way better when you're nourished.
That's such a good point. I love that you said that, because I think people don't even realize it's possible until they just do it.
Right.
Until you're in that situation. Because, for example, I've had clients that say that same thing, but I'm driving my kid. I'm like, perfect. You're driving your kids to so-and-so, but I have to eat like a jerky. I'm like, well, why don't you just eat a meal? Because I was saying to Brian, I'm like, when I drove to and from clients, every single time I'd have my beef and rice in the car and I'm driving, and maybe it's not the best meal to eat, but I'm like, why the heck not? People do all kinds of things that we can't believe other people are doing. Why not do this? It's not that crazy. So I love that you were setting the tone in the office for that. Because at the end of the day, you have to care about your health more than anyone.
That's right.
Your boss is not going to be like, you haven't eaten for 2 hours.
Wouldn't that be nice?
No.
Oh my gosh.
You're going to be like little side rant is like, if I'm super hangry and my kids need something, I'm like, I need to eat my thing for 5 minutes. And you just have to draw that boundary.
Yeah, I think it's also important to note for our listeners that like we do have women that work with us in all different industries.
Yes.
So this becomes really, for me, the clients I'm thinking of are first responders. I have a lot of clients in healthcare, shift work, things like that. So George, you highlighted that so beautifully that you can't let the environment dictate because otherwise you will just get stuck in a very unhealthy pattern. Especially I'm thinking of those industries where, I mean, I think this can be said for all jobs, but where you actually need to be very alert and very well fed and very well nourished, have that energy. You can't be skipping meals and not eating anything for like 12, 14 hours because you're of no service to yourself, but also the people that you're caring for or working with. So I think that's really, really important. And we've seen that shift with so many clients where they have that aha moment and it's like, yeah, why the heck can't I eat? And the other thing, and I'm going to get into this next because I think it's really important to segue to, you've talked about like the targets and all that. Like, let's talk about how we actually tactically make that happen. But you can make things that are easy to grab and go. It doesn't have to be sitting down to like steak and potatoes. Like a wrap is a great meal to have on the go. Anyway, we'll get into that. But
please do.
That's kind of what I want to get into next is the idea that if you're just relying on what's quick and easy, odds are you're going to be making choices that aren't aligned with how you want to feel, how you want to look, because often quick and easy is like going to the drive-thru, ordering something in. And when you're grabbing things like that, not only are you not necessarily making choices that are aligned, but we talked about like proper tracking and understanding what you're eating. It's like out of sight, out of mind, because you're like just hoofing it down and then it's like out of mind, right? So I think when we talk about like meal prep, a lot of people get scared because they think it's a lot of work.
Sorry, we just want to say this is BAM number 2.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Just
thank you.
Letting people know.
BAM number 2. Yes. I'm going to be talking to you about just batch cooking and prepping your food, right? So that way you're not winging it. So when people hear the word meal prep, it's very scary for them because they think that it's this big elaborate production. It becomes daunting, right? I think in their mind, they're picturing like Pinterest meals and like color coding and sticking to the same thing, having no variety. Also being in the kitchen for hours and hours and hours. I've heard that one too. But that's not what we're talking about at all. In fact, because we're talking about bare ass minimums, we're trying to make this low barrier, easy access. So batch cooking is what we really, really, really advocate for with our clients. And what this means is you're cooking in bulk or in batches a couple of times a week. For some people, it's 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. But it makes your life so much easier because then you have all of the like building blocks for your meals ready to go. So I'll just tell you kind of the way I approach this personally. And then girls, if you want to chime in, if you do anything kind of differently or any kind of little hot tips. But what I do myself and what I advocate for my clients is like, time is short, time is precious. Let's batch. What are your 2 proteins? For me, I always do like usually a chicken breast and then maybe a fish or a red meat. So let's say you're doing like ground beef and chicken. Perfect. I've got those 2 proteins. Super easy, super quick to prep. Then I think of a couple of carbs. I personally love like sweet potato, rice. I'll cook 1 or 2 of those ready in the fridge. But then I'll also buy wraps, some bread, rice cakes, things that maybe don't even require prep. And then I think about what fruits and veggies I want. And what I'll do is I'll either cut them up so they're ready to go in the fridge. And for those of you with small kids, I've actually had a lot of clients say, oh my God, my kids finally are eating the fruit because I have it cut up for them.
And so are you.
Yeah, exactly. Or if I'm making veggies, let's say, especially, you know, with the summertime just past and even into the fall, I love roasting them on the barbecue. It's the best thing. All of this to say that you can prep in like an hour, hour and a half. It doesn't have to be hours on end. And when you batch prep like this, your food's ready for you. So then when you go to have your meals or plan your kind of menu for the week, it's mix and match. You can throw things together in less than 5-10 minutes. And for all those parents, you know, in the fall, getting back to like lessons, not just school packing, you know, lunches and stuff, you're not left at the mercy of, oh my God, I have no time, or I'm so hungry, or what am I going to feed the kids tonight? And one more hot tip, and then girls, you chime in for sure, is I also don't overly sauce or season the foods when I'm making them. That way, when I go to make my meals, I can add whatever I want then. So tell me, girls, any tricks of the trade?
I call this the 2x2 rule.
Ooh, I like
so
it.
I have clients pick 2 proteins, 2 carbs, and then prep them in the simplest ways possible, because then it really is mix and match, and they can do that twice a week. So the 2x2 rule, guys, like this is what you need to adopt as your bare ass minimum, because You can swap out those proteins. And if you are a barbecuer, we barbecue all year round. You can do your entire food prep on the barbecue and have like literally zero cleanup. That is our go-to a lot of times. Roasting vegetables, the potatoes in like tinfoil, putting our basket of chicken and the steak, skewers, sausages, like all that goes on the same time.
Me too.
Me too. And you're done so quickly.
Yeah.
And the second tip I have is that have the right tools at home that are going to make this quick and easy for you. Have the rice cooker so that the rice can cook at the same time that you're making the potatoes in the oven, so that you're not doing things one at a time. You're going to save yourself hours in the kitchen if you're able to be a bit simultaneous in your approach.
That's a great point.
And I think that the really important one to hammer home, which we've had discussions about, is if you're not someone who is a foodie or a cook or doesn't enjoy it, I'm just going to be honest with you, but that's not an excuse. And I'm sure you guys would agree. People think, again, the Pinterest thing, they think, like, I am a foodie. I send you guys recipes all the time just because I'm like,
all the time.
I'm like, I know you're not going to make this. I'm like,
I send them to my mom.
Oh, I love that. Amazing. I send them to Brian and I'm like, you need to make a folder, and he's not going to do that with ADHD, but I'm like, ideally you'd be making a folder and making these for me.
I love that.
I'm a foodie. But if you're not like that, then all you have to do, and there's no excuse, go on ChatGPT and be like, how do I make salmon without adding extra fat to it? And guess what? You don't even have to do that. People get so overwhelmed with the cooking thing. I promise you, you just have to cook it to the right temperature and whatever the frick method you want, and get a seasoning blend like Trader Joe's, the salmon rub, the chicken seasoning. You'll never have to even freaking use your brain to put seasonings together. Just find a way to make the food and repeat it. You don't have to, how do I make, this famous chicken stuffed with this? No, just forget about it. Put it in the freaking crock pot with salsa. And if you like that, great. Do it every week. Who the heck cares? Use that in a quesadilla. Use it in a wrap. This is something that doesn't come right away. So if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I never knew this, this is something that we work with our clients on. This is something we support them with. So yeah, we can support you with that if you would like.
And you know what? I think I've admitted this on many podcast episodes, but I hate cooking and I am not a foodie. And I am one of those people who could eat the same thing every single day for years and years on end. However, you're right. It's not an excuse. And so this is kind of the next point I want to make, is that if you're still thinking like, oh, but this is work, sure, but it takes the decision fatigue away. So I know that when I got into a really good groove with meal prep, I actually did all the things you girls said. I was really smart with what I was cooking at the same time. I utilized the tools, the seasonings, all of that. And then I wasn't stuck asking, oh my God, what do I eat? What should I make? And it just becomes so easy because everything's planned. It's prepped. So is it work up front? Yes, of course it is. I find that the work up front is far better than the mental work. You're still going to have to eat. So it's like, do it now, do it smart, or
make it fun.
Exactly.
A tidbit, because my thing is I hate cleaning. So I put on a podcast.
That's a great idea.
I love it. What are you doing right now? Because you could be meal prepping and listening to this and feeling extra good about it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like when you get creative, you're going to find ways to save time. You're going to make it more enjoyable. And the best part about all of this is that it guarantees compliance, because when life gets busy and hectic, and we know it does, we're in September. It's crazy bonkers busy right now. Your food is there. You have it ready to eat and you can eat on track. So even if you start small, like prepping like a protein, a carb, a veggie, start small and build your repertoire. And then before you know it, you'll have like an entire menu that you can reach for.
And use it for your kids' lunches. I just want to add that.
Heck yes. Absolutely. I love it. Jord, I'd love for you to take us through BAM number 3.
BAM number 3 is to actually have a workout program. Because if you do not have something that you are following when you are getting into the gym or do have time to work out, the random workouts that you're picking up from a random magazine or that you're looking up on YouTube or that your friend sent you from Instagram, you are going to get random results. Random gets random. So you're not going to get the strategic results if you don't have a strategic plan. And if you don't have a lot of time, and you're only able to work out 2, 3, maybe 4 times a week. I have clients that are like, I have no more than 30 minutes, 3 or 4 times a week. Great. Let's make it as strategic as possible. Let's make it no fluff so that you're going to get maximum benefit and maximum efficiency out of the time that we are putting in. So have that program, because just doing whatever feels good that day is not going to get you closer to your goals. It's actually going to get you way further from your goals. And so when we have new clients that are just getting into the swing of things, our go-to is typically full body, workouts because we're going to be able to hit the same muscle groups multiple times a week. And it allows them to get a schedule in place. It allows them to start creating some adaptation. It allows them to feel good about the fact that they're getting into some consistency and that they have a plan. And if BAMs are all about reducing decision fatigue and doing the bare minimum that you can handle in your mind, having a plan actually takes away all of the extra work you might be doing scrolling or searching for something to do that day, because you're like, open up your app. Here's what I'm doing. Let's go.
And this is different than just putting together, like, I have 30 minutes, I'm going to pop on a follow along workout. And this is a mini workout, because people think, I get it, you're moving your body, but you want to see changes in your physique. You need something repeatable. You need something scalable, and not just saying like, I have this time and I'm going to fill it however I fill it.
With whatever. Yeah.
I totally agree. So I think that one speaks for itself. So I'm going to give BAM number 4 over back to T if you want to cover that one.
Yeah. So this one's connected. You want to book your workouts in your calendar like important appointments. And this is something you might have heard, but we want you to actually do it. And let me tell you something. I've been lifting for, 15 years. And I do this still to this day, especially now that I'm competing for my show. I mean, I'm always very consistent with my training, but especially in busy seasons and where it's absolutely essential to get in a certain amount of movement and all these other things, put it in your calendar. When are you doing your walking? When are you doing your cardio? I do my walks with Brian, so I'll invite him to the event and be like, this is happening. You have to treat it like that, because nobody's going to go into your schedule and be like, did you do this? And I know you're doing that for all your kids' sports and you're inviting your spouse and, you're doing all the things, but you need to do that for yourself.
Yes.
Would you guys add any tidbits to that?
Time blocking is my jam. I love it. I think that if you're not doing it, you're missing out. And it's just a way to have you create the consistency that you didn't know you needed or could even create for yourself. Because even though I'm so organized, this past summer, I went through another level of reorganization with growing my team and everything that's happened with the business, that I needed to actually revisit that time blocking and when things got done. And I redid my schedule almost from scratch. And now I've created these new pockets of time, but I have added in my lunch walk with my dog because he needs to get out, my after work walk with Joey because we need to get out some sunshine before it gets dark, and our workouts because that's a non-negotiable in my life. And in order for it to get it in, it has to be the first things that went into the schedule. And then I built my day around the rest. And I think we're all blessed that we're entrepreneurs and have some more of that influence in terms of dictating how our day runs. But even all of you listening, working in more traditional jobs, or if you're a sham or whatever you're doing, there is parts of your day that is still dictated by you. And I would encourage you to take ownership and take control of them because you have more influence than you have let yourself believe.
And you know what I tell myself all the time? If there's someone out there who is busier than me with the same life circumstances that I have, and they're still doing it.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people, like, friendly reminder. I get that you're busy. I'm not saying you have the same time you did 20 years ago, but there's someone busier than you right now who's working out consistently.
Yeah. And I think it's also, people have to stop thinking of it as an afterthought. So I think a lot of people will think of the walks, the workouts, the whatever as like, oh, I'll fit it in if I can, because of all these other things. And it's like, no. Those should be at the forefront. Because I did the same thing, Jord, recently, like kind of time blocked my day. And I realized I was actually even being guilty of that in some cases where I was saying like, yeah, I'm going to do it this day. But I had to get like laser focused. What day, what time, block it in, and not if all the other things go to plan and then I have a little bit of time. No, that needs to be protected and I work around that. So I think that's the other key takeaway here is it's not like a fun bonus. This is the forefront of your planning for your time blocking in your day.
You're the boss of you.
I love that.
Exactly. I think that's a perfect transition, Marin, to BAM number 5.
Yeah, which actually ties all of this together, right? So that's sticking to a weekly rhythm, like a rhythm or routine. So when it comes to getting results, rhythm is key. We actually thrive on it. When I was in the education space, like we pretty much spend most of September, October, and sometimes even November. The first term is all about establishing rhythms and routines in the classroom because once you have that locked, everything can flow from there because our brains, our bodies, everything thrives on routine, not chaos. So like, it's not a badge of honor. Your life is so busy. We get it, but you need consistency because that's what's going to drive everything good in your life. So we've talked about, nutrition, we've talked about workouts, and we want those BAMs to be in place. But we're also talking about the other things in your day, like the time you wake up, the time you eat, when you move your body, your wind down, even your nightly routine. All of these things have to be in a rhythm. And the women that we work with pretty consistently will tell us that they finally start to see real progress when all of these pieces are like snapped into place. I like to tell them it's like a puzzle, right? You get everything snapped into place and then you're in this steady rhythm. So what does this look like? In the mornings, it's kind of keeping those morning and evening routines in place. Now, we know life happens. We know that every day is not predictable, but the more consistent you can make those things, the better. The other thing with meal times, so we're not telling you the right or wrong time to eat, but if one day you're eating like at 9 o'clock, then not again till 5 o'clock and you're all over the place.
Skipping meals.
That's not going to serve you in any way, not just your goals, but how you feel. So consistent meal timing, especially like during your week, we want that. But now let's segue to the weekends, because for a lot of people, they can kind of keep consistent during the week and then the weekends are like all over the place. So again, make this your bare ass minimum. What from your daily, weekly routine can you kind of lock in place? Sure, you might shift some timing around, but for the most part, have a solid morning routine, evening routine. Make sure you're not only having one meal or two meals on the weekend because you're running here, there, and everywhere. All that planning we talked about, it's going to serve you, right? So the way I like to look at it is your body is a system. Systems thrive on predictability. So if you're consistently all over the place, then your body will never be in that rhythm. On the other hand, if you're consistently consistent, then your body is going to work for you.
I would say that this is such a good way of thinking about it. When you have a young baby or toddler, a lot of moms are like obsessed with like, when is Junior's nap schedule? Yeah, well, they nap from 9 to 9:20 and they're like granular. And I'm like, okay, so how's your eating pattern? I just eat the cutout of their crusts. Like, okay, so you need to do that for yourself, right? And Mare, I like your point about the weekends too, because that's a big one that I hear. And I want to encourage people that it doesn't need to be extreme. I'm such a big fan of waking up like at the same time daily. You want to sleep in on the weekend, cool, but can we find a happy medium? Maybe don't wake up at 12 on the weekend and 7 a.m. during the week and eat like, you know, your first meal at 1 p.m. You know, like you want to fall into like a realm.
Yep, I agree. I love that. George, did you want to add anything? How do you approach the weekends?
The weekend, so I do give myself some time to sleep in, but I'm more of a like 1-2 hour extra. And then our meals are pretty much like, it's a system, guys. Like we are pretty consistent. So breakfast, you know, we eat together. Maybe I'll take longer to enjoy my matcha. We'll sit outside kind of thing. But then later on, it's like we still have lunch. We don't skip a meal. We might have an early afternoon snack. Dinner time might be a little later on the weekends just because we might be out or with people or doing things. But generally speaking, it's like the flow has been in flow for over a decade now. So it's very different than when I first started, where it felt like my brain was trying to take up so much capacity, be like, did I do this? Did I do that? Oh, I'm trying to get this habit in. And that's why I felt like it was such a great thing to be in a community where I could get other insights and inputs and get support from a coach, because you could be listening being like, oh my God, there's only 5 BAMs, but this sounds really overwhelming. And it doesn't have to be if you're doing one thing at a time. If you're trying to put all of this in place at the same time, on your own, of course this is going to be overwhelming because it feels like a lot. But when you start to stack one thing on the other over time and lock and load like the puzzle pieces, one thing at a time, it's going to be so much easier for you to be able to start to get this rhythm into your life.
And I think rhythm is such a beautiful word instead of like being rigid. Because I'm the same as you, Jordan. Like my weekends, by and large, are completely different than my week because I have a big family. We've always got events. I don't think there's a free weekend like during the year. But holding on to these bands ensures that I have a plan and I have like a process, a rhythm that it might look a little different, but I don't lose sight of those important things. I don't let my food go out the window. I don't let my movement go out the window. It looks a little different. So I like rhythm because it releases you from that rigidity. So that's what a lot of people think, right? It has to be like dead set the same every single day. We're talking about a rhythm. So if you keep that steady rhythm, your results will follow. We promise.
I agree. And then the last point I'll make before I send y'all off to have an amazing day is that a lot of people think they need a massive amount of time to make this happen. And the truth of the matter is most of our clients get their results in less than 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours in a week. And that's less than 1 hour a day. Okay. And that is their food prep. That is their movement. And that is their bookending of their day between their morning routine and their night routine. And so it doesn't have to feel like it takes up your whole day in order to prioritize yourself. We really can lock and load these routines into something quick and manageable, especially when you're working on it with someone to support you in your corner. And when they're repeatable, that's what's going to give you the opportunity to practice them over time and replace the old behaviors that were taking you in the direction that weren't working for you. And so these non-negotiables are things that our clients work on all the time. They're in progress. They're things that we've locked and loaded our lives around. And if you are feeling stuck right now, like I said at the start of this episode, think about your lifestyle right now that you know all 5, and start to audit them, because you're probably able to make a lot more progress and feel like you're buying back time into your life by making these changes strategically. So that is my homework for you over the next week until you listen to the next episode. Pick one of these BAMs and work on it over the next week. Take a look at your life, see how you can put it into practice, because when your routine tightens up and you are starting to feel really confident about what you're doing, your results are going to tighten up too, and you're going to see them and feel them, and you're going to be excited about implementing the next stage. So just remember, you don't have to overhaul everything all at the same time. You just need to make structure that works for you so that you can put your results on autopilot, because that's ultimately what is going to make you feel good. So thank you so much for tuning in today. We have had a blast on this episode, and I hope you have a fantastic week. We'll see you next time.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Get Sculpted. We hope you feel inspired, empowered, and ready to take the next step in your fitness journey. Remember, building your 2.0 body is a unique journey for you. It's about showing up for yourself consistently and not being perfect.
If you loved today's episode, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a review and tag us on social at getsculpted.ca. Your feedback helps us reach more women like you who are ready to cut through the noise and make lasting changes.
For more daily tips, inspiration, and behind-the-scenes content, follow us on Instagram and check out our handles in the show notes below. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on Get Sculpted. Until then, remember this: getting sculpted isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter.